Happy Tuesday, everyone. I am Tiffany Serbus-Gustaveson, a digital strategist with BWG Connect, and we are a network and knowledge sharing group. We stay on top of the latest trends, challenges, whatever's shaping the digital landscape. We want to know and talk about it. We will do at least 500, maybe even a little bit more this year, virtual events due to the increase in demand to understand the digital space. And we will do at least 100 in-person small format dinners. So if you happen to live in a tier 1 city in the US, feel free to check out our website, bwgconnect.com, or you can send me an email at Tiffany, Tiffany at bwgconnect.com. We'd love to send you an invite. These dinners are typically 15 to 20 people having a discussion around a certain digital topic, and it's always a fantastic time. We spend a majority of our time talking to brands. That's how we stay on top of the latest trends. We'd love to have a conversation with you, so feel free to send me an email at Tiffany at bwgconnect.com, and we can get some time on the calendar. It's from these conversations we generate the topic ideas we know people want to learn about, and it's also where we gain our resident experts such as NetElixir, who's with us today. Anybody that we asked to teach the collective community has come highly recommended from multiple brands within the network. So if you're ever in need of any recommendations within the digital space, do not hesitate to reach out. We have a short list of the best, and we would love to provide that information to you. A few housekeeping items before we get started. First and foremost, we want this to be fun, educational, conversational. Drop as many questions, comments you have into the chat, the Q&A, or email me. We have started here about 5 minutes after the hour. Rest assured, we will wrap up at least 5 to 10 minutes before the end of the hour to give you ample time to get to wherever you need to go next. So with that, let's rock and roll and start to talk about 2024 Holiday Playbook, essential forecasts and strategies to maximize your e-commerce sales. The team at NetElixir are long-term friends of the BWG community, so I'm going to pass it over to you, Udayan. If you can give an introduction on yourself, that would be lovely. And then we can dive into, what did you say, the 5th year of doing this for BWG, but the 17th?
This is, 5th year of doing the with BWG and 17th year of doing this forecast. So
beautiful. Thank you so much, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Tiffany. It's such a pleasure to really do this forecast. As I mentioned, 17th one. And I have another very unique track record I wanted to start off with. So if I were to compare the actual NRF published e-commerce data, I think our strike rate in terms of accuracy has been the highest of any of those published sources which are out there, including Comscore, including Adobe, and so on. So for some reason, the data set we have of the mid-size and large retail and direct-to-consumer e-commerce companies seems to mirror the US e-commerce for whatever reasons in a pretty interesting manner. But let me dive in really quick. And I was hoping to just do a quick introduction of who we are, NetElixir, talk a little bit about our e-commerce trends and insights, then get into the holiday e-commerce forecast. Actually, we are going to be releasing our forecast for this year today on this podcast. So really excited about it. And then we have 3 resources that we wanted to share, including one which has been insanely popular in the past. This would be about 11th year of publishing something really interesting, which has been used by over 10,000 businesses in the last about 10 years that we have really done this. But with that, let me get started. A little bit about me. I founded the company along with my wife back in 2004. And so this would be essentially our 20th full-fledged holiday that we'll be on. My agency or firm would be really managing for our e-commerce customers. I guess that probably qualifies us as one of the oldest independent digital marketing agencies in the US at this point in time. I also am very passionate about academics and teaching. I am a innovation fellow at Columbia Business School. I also am a guest lecturer at the Johnson School of Business in Cornell, and City University of New York, the CUNY, Baruch, and the Indian School of Business as well. And feel free to connect with me. I can assure you absolutely accessible and happy to connect. A little bit about our company. We call ourselves the AI-first digital agency, and this is the transformation we have been able to successfully undergo in the last about a couple of years now. We have been around, as I mentioned, over 20 plus years, focused almost exclusively on the retail segment, retail direct-to-consumer e-commerce. We have built our own AI marketing platform, which helps us conduct rapid micro experiments on Google and Meta ads as such. And the goal of this platform is to uncover those hidden opportunities from your Google and Meta campaign. And Elixir Insights has been proven to drive 5% to 8% incremental revenues, which otherwise just through a campaign management, people were unable to really find that sort of a revenue lift. We also are privileged to be an exclusive partner for UPS. And this would be our actually 11th year running now. So over 10 years of digital connections partnership with UPS. So UPS refers us to many of their mid-sized and large customers who may need help in terms of driving customers online or acquiring new customers online. We also are a Google Premier partner. We are actually one of their agency leadership circle members, which places us, Tiffany, I think, in a very interesting group of about 27 agencies and currently in the US who happen to be a part of this agency leadership circle. We also happen to be a Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Pinterest, TikTok Premier partner as well. And last but not the least, we have a foundation called the Udayan Foundation, through which we are supporting young girls from underprivileged sections of society in India and helping them sponsor by sponsoring their high school education, college education, and helping them find jobs, blue-collar jobs in leading companies. So that's a little bit, and this is, I think, our foundation. Anyone who is interested about this social cause, feel free to scan this, and we would greatly appreciate your contribution or any comments, any help that you can do to help these girls dream of a better life. I'll start with the e-commerce trends and insight. This is for the first half, and I've taken a lot of the information from publicly available sources. So this is from the retail census report, which is sort of comes out every month. So if you really look at, this is more of the Goldman Sachs is the source for this. In Q1, the first 3 months, e-commerce sales grew by about 8.7% in the US. Core retail grew by about 3%, non-store sales aggregated 9%, and so on. So overall, it was a pretty strong start to the year. In Q2, that growth had fallen marginally to about 6.6%, but still pretty strong. Now, in Q2, we saw that if you really break down that 6.6%, we saw Amazon's e-commerce sales grew by about close to 9%, and Walmart's e-commerce sales or Walmart e-commerce section grew by about 22%. So what it meant was, if you really use a weighted average process and just take that part out, the rest of the e-commerce sales grew by what percentage? I'll sort of probably ask that question later. But overall, I think e-commerce now accounts for about 22% of the core retail sales. When I say core retail, I'm talking about excluding auto, gas, and restaurants. Again, this is from the US Census Bureau data as such. So if you really exclude Amazon and Walmart, so getting to that chart, 14 million e-commerce websites in the US grew by 0.34%, Tiffany. So essentially, there was no growth effectively. The first half, it was entirely flat. It's just incredible. And this is, I have really used ChatGPT to map out as to how 14 million e-commerce sites would look like. It's just this insane number. So that's, I think, the fundamental thing that we see going into the holiday season, that the overall e-commerce sales in the US, if you really remove the contribution of Amazon and Walmart e-commerce, has been by and large flat. Some of the categories we have seen growth. The other categories have not, unfortunately, realized growth as much. But three of the common trends are, I think some of them you may be aware of, I think should not come as a surprise. One is marketplaces continue to gain e-commerce market share. And per our research, they account for 49% of the total retail e-commerce revenue at this time. In the first half, the marketplace sales grew by about 13%, while the direct total e-commerce sales grew by about 7.3%. Now, this is again our data set. This is not the government numbers. It has been an uneven e-commerce sales by category. So after flying very high during COVID, for example, online sales for the beauty category fell by about 12%. So the first half, online sales actually were 12% lower compared to 2023. Home decor, home improvement continue to sort of lag. They are about a 4% down first half compared to last year, first half as well. Grocery and pet supplies continue to do well. I think grocery has been one of the part where, understandably, during COVID, we saw the spike. it came down, but still it steadily continues to grow. I think we believe that the number of first-time buyers who really sort of got into that online threshold and bought, even if it is once during COVID, it was a huge, huge signal in terms of breaking down that initial inertia or barrier of their using or accessing or being able to shop online. And that, I think, has been one of the most remarkable steady parts, which have really sort of helped categories like grocery. Per our data set, the grocery and pet supplies category in the first half have grown by about 10% in terms of online revenue compared to 2023. I must really credit retail. I know we have quite a few retailers join us today. I really have to do a hat tip to all the retailers and direct-to-consumer companies who are joining this, because you have had to constantly evolve your product mix to stay relevant and improve profitability. And I'm pretty sure it has not been easy. It has not been easy because of multiple reasons. One, I think the consumer preferences have changed quite dramatically. I think, for example, a very simplistic thing which has been talked about multiple times, Gen Z's buying patterns are very different from Gen X's buying patterns or millennial buying patterns. There have been some wild demand swings. I mean, for example, Q1 was fairly strong for beauty, Q2 was terrible, and so on. And adjusting with the inventory, etc., it really requires a tremendous amount of not only planning, but being able to respond very, very quickly as well. The third is the logistical challenges. I think when you really are stuck with a particular inventory and the new products are coming in, it really becomes a big logistical challenge as well. And last but not the least, I think you, or at least many of you, have had to really deal with massive competitors, not only the Amazon and Walmart, but the Temus and Sheins as well, right? I have talked about in our last webinar, Tiffany, if you remember, talked about the impact of Temu and Shein. For example, I mean, I think now it is published data, Temu apparently spent about $2 billion on Facebook ads last year, 2 billion with a B. And we believe they spent close to about $3.2 billion with Google ads last year, right? I mean, how many online company or e-commerce companies are there in the US with that sort of a revenue? Forget about marketing dollars. So I think to compete in such an intensely competitive market really takes a tremendous amount of agility. It requires a tremendous amount of integrative planning. It also takes a tremendous amount of courage and boldness and your ability to go ahead and constantly differentiate your brands. And I really have to compliment all of you for showing that tremendous amount of courage to face. It's not easy by any means at all. But having said that, we are fortunate enough currently to work with a little over 150 companies. All of them are e-commerce companies. A majority of them, Tiffany, are retailers or direct-to-consumer companies. I would say almost 100% are retailers or direct-to-consumer companies. We have some B2B e-commerce merchants as well. And these are some of the questions that these merchants are asking us. And many of them, I would probably about 70% have a very strong holiday skew. So one question which we have been asked pretty often is, how should marketers plan for this holiday season? Because we are seeing that Prime Day literally kickstarts the holiday season. And this year we have one of the shortest runway between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So how should the strategy change? Should we come out with our best promotions during Prime Day, which is October 8th and 9th, or should we really wait until the Black Friday weekend? I mean, what is the overall strategy? How should marketers even plan for this holiday season? The second, again, is obvious. I mean, I gave the example. I mean, while the giants are competing, how do the SMBs even compete? Or do they even compete? Or is there a smarter way of really having a successful holiday season? And last but not the least, this is just an overall question. I mean, I was speaking earlier to the analysts at SIG, the Susquehanna Investment Group as well. And they asked me the same question. I mean, are there certain categories that you are picking which are likely to emerge as winners this holiday season? So I should be able to answer at least part of these questions. And then feel free to put any of your questions in the chat box or Q&A box and so on. So I'm happy to sort of take them as well. But that's the first part, Tiffany. But before I move on to the next section, happy to answer any questions from you or anyone in the audience as well.
Yeah, definitely filter those questions in the chat or the Q&A. Do you have a question about the percentage of marketplace sales? I believe it was just under 50%. Is
Yeah, it's
that
roughly about
including
49%
Temu
is what
marketplace?
No, that includes only the Amazon and Walmart is what we have primarily considered. Yeah. So that's the section. I mean, it's just
Only Amazon and Walmart was
only
just
Amazon
under
and Walmart for
50%.
our study. Yeah, yeah. So let me keep moving on. I think so. A little bit on the basis of our forecast. So effectively, one is the e-commerce and the search engine metrics for our customers. I mean, it's basically mid-size and large customers. We are forecasting that they would sell about $300 million in the all-night holiday revenue effectively during this time. Aggregate, it would typically be a little over 500 million unique website visits during the holiday season. The categories mostly are fashion apparel, home decor, tool, hardware, beauty, cosmetics, food, grocery, and gifting. And as I mentioned, this is our 17th holiday forecast. I mean, we have been doing it for a fairly long time. And again, something to brag about and feel very proud about is I think our accuracy rate has been higher compared to any other published source out there at this time. How do we really, what is the overall forecast method that we use? We actually use an actual week-wise website visits. And this is our client data set. Website sales, channel-wise investments. And based on these primary variables, we really build our set of metrics or KPIs as well and track them on those weekly basis starting the first day of the year. The marketplace's sales have not been considered for our forecast, despite accounting for almost 50%. So it will be skewed because marketplace sales, we don't really have a way to really capture some of the intricate metrics which really run the model. So I must say, at this point in time, maybe a little lopsided because it just is very skewed towards the direct-to-consumer side or let us say website sales. The above data is segmented into mobile and desktop data sets, and year-on-year comparison is conducted with previous year's week-wise key metrics as well. And we place a significant weightage because I think back to school always had a pretty significant weightage in our forecasting model. And this year it is a little over 15% weightage on the overall forecasting model that we have built. It accounts for already an early start of the holiday shopping season with Prime Big Deal Day happening in mid-October effectively. So I think all of these have been factored in as well. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the data set and how do we calculate as well. So let me just dive in straight and say that we are cautiously optimistic. I mean, we predict moderately strong online sales growth this holiday season. We are predicting an 8% year-on-year growth. Again, this really includes all of the different categories across board for all of our customers, from actually the e-commerce, from the website e-commerce and website online sales, which is fairly strong given that the first half has been fairly muted or weak. And I'll sort of get into as to what is really driving this optimism about an 8% year-on-year online sales growth. The first part, I really wanted to highlight some of the macro factors in this case. The first one is, I think, the estimated interest rate cut of 50, now it is not estimated because it was declared, I mean, of 50 basis points is likely to trigger, we believe, as a positive stimulus to the holiday spending. There will be a higher credit usage. We believe there would be a sharp spike also in the BNPL-led sales as well. Since there are only 27 days between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year, we believe merchants are likely to start the holiday promotions early, so it will be competitive, and also engage in pretty aggressive discounting, which would lead to higher sales volume. Though, again, it's a different story when it comes to understandably the margins and the profitability part, Tiffany. The inflation rates have fallen to about 2.7%. So they are likely to be in the 2.3 to 3% range effectively observed before the pandemic. So I think despite the interest rate cuts, I mean, not likely, it is sort of happening now, though it is yet to be extended across. Long-term inflation expectations continue to remain in the range. So I think that's where I think one of the advantages is overall the consumer sentiment has been pretty strong. I'll sort of share with you some numbers on the next slide as well. And the prime big deals day are likely to be, if not likely, to be October 8th and 9th now. They have been already declared. So when I created this presentation, it was likely, but they were actually declared last week, effectively to catalyze an early start to the holiday shopping season. Some of the other macro factors, if you look at the consumer sentiment index, this is the University of Michigan survey of consumers, and this is like September 13th, so pretty fresh data. The overall sentiment has continued to go up, which I think is a positive trend, effectively, which because it means that the consumers expect the business conditions to continue to improve, essentially. So that's the part which we are pretty excited about. And all of these macro factors we feel will lead to a holiday time increase, or I wouldn't say use the word spike because that may show a pretty dramatic increase, but definitely an increase in consumer demand during the holiday season. Now, who will win that demand is obviously a different story altogether. As I mentioned, in the first half, very clearly, we have seen the marketplaces and primarily Amazon and some of these larger companies have really won the demand. So that's a different story altogether, but we believe that there will be demand. There would be a demand increase during the holiday season. Moving on to the next slide, I think there are some trends which probably can be sort of highlighted as concerning as well. For anyone who has been following the New York Fed and the numbers, essentially, the credit card balances have reached an all-time high. And as you can see, all-time high by a very wide margin. At $1.14 trillion in terms of credit card balances, it is definitely at a concerning level. When I spoke and did this same presentation last year before the holiday season, this was around the $1 trillion mark. It has gone up further, but during the holidays, it sort of went up dramatically, effectively to about $1.23 trillion. And we are seeing again that spike during holiday season may potentially be a reason for concern as well. If you really look at the consumer loans, also are trending at a very high number as well. So very clearly, the credit cards are going to get maxed out. And I think there are starting to be some amount of credit card payment delays that have been observed so far, but something I really wanted to point out as a concerning trend, a concerning macro trend. But with all of this stuff which has been going on, I think we feel pretty confident it would still be a fairly strong holiday season, and this is our category level holiday forecast. So in apparel, for our data set, it grew by about 10% in the first half compared to 2023. And we are estimating between 1st November and 24th December, the holiday estimate, it would still grow by about 10%, so at the same level. Beauty, we believe, will make a comeback during the holiday season. We have seen normally when beauty normally grabs a lot of the last minute sales as well as a lot of discretionary spend just because of the number of units in the shopping cart becomes a big driver. And the overall, what we call the giftability index, I mean, it's a very popular item that gets sort of gifted around as well, which would really lead to a bit of a sort of turnaround for beauty, which has been sort of lagging behind in the first half. On the gifting side, we believe, again, there would be a bit of a turnaround of plus 6%. Again, this is the season for gifting, so no surprises there probably. Home furnishings will continue to lag, though we think that the numbers would be stronger than what we have seen in the first half. It will still be in the negative, unfortunately, even lower than compared to 2023, which itself was lower compared to 2022. Consumer electronics will continue to be at the same level as it had been in the H1. Pet supplies, again, at about 4%, will come down probably a little bit. 1% hardware and tools, roughly the same, flat as such. So no massive surprises, maybe other than maybe the beauty making a comeback should be definitely music to a lot of the beauty industry folks who are really hustling hard and hoping for a strong holiday season. We feel pretty confident. The same applies for gifting as well. As such. So overall, we feel fairly confident that this will be, as I mentioned, a strong holiday season. Now, again, who will be sort of grabbing that share of the additional spend and the additional revenue, I think remains to be seen. But overall, this is our category level forecast. If anyone is interested in a deeper dive, we'll be more than happy to provide with you very specific details on a particular category. But these are the categories that we track on a real-time basis. And that's what I wanted to share with you as well. So any questions on this, Tiffany? I keep going. So I really wanted to understand. I think there is a question which is coming. Do you expect the US election to have any negative effects? It's a great question. I think effectively, I was having this great conversation with a gentleman who was earlier the president of NRF. And he mentioned that they have not found any correlation between holiday season and any dramatic holiday season sales and election in the previous election year. Our data shows there is a correlation. And some of the correlation effect I can show. So that's where our data does not really match with what the gentleman from NRF essentially was mentioning. Our data essentially shows maybe a slightly more uneven demand circulation. Maybe it's a measure of the consumer sentiment as well around the holiday season, I think, which is a key component. So we have seen more protruded spikes, ups and down demand fluctuations in the holiday season compared to the non-election years effectively. So I would think that would continue. In terms of the questions on the early Black Friday sales, it is our belief that the Prime Day essentially will play a very important role this year. Maybe even a more important role compared to a non-election year, for example, the last year or even this July Prime Day. And just for exactly this reason, because there is a bit of a holiday lag factor that we have observed, election lag factor, where the election results are declared and for the next 10 days, there is maybe a lot more uneven activity, as I mentioned. So we believe, I don't know about the negative effect on early Black Friday sales, but my recommendation would be to focus definitely around that Prime Day mark and try to really advance as much of your sales wherever possible. I know in many cases it may not be possible around that time as such, so as to mitigate your risk from this fluctuation that may happen immediately after the holiday results are declared and so on.
That's really interesting, because if you're going to align with the Prime Day, the early Prime Day in October, but then also ads are very expensive and competitive right now because of the election year.
Exactly. So I think the question is, should we wait until November 15th for early Black Friday sales? I don't think so. Again, just being very direct, Tiffany. It's a great question to ask. I would not definitely recommend that, primarily because given an election year, the dynamics are going to be different, very, very different as well. I mean, there are some other parts I really wanted to cover. I didn't really talk much about or anything about, Tiffany, on the search side or the search engine side as well. One very interesting part, which I think, Tiffany, you and I were discussing, was this concept of 50%. I mean, by and large, plus minus maybe 10% here and there of a direct to consumer, or the website traffic essentially is driven from Google, right? That's what has been historically. If you will look at from the first day we started with the forecast, which was in 2008 till now, that has been the trend. This year, we are approaching that number 50% with a bit of a caution. And a big reason is this advent and the introduction of AI overviews, Tiffany. Normally, when the holidays happen, the sequence, which again, there is no one sequence, but I think one of the sequence which becomes pretty prominent is consumers spend a lot of time doing a pre-holiday shopping research. Then they essentially try to hunt for those bargain deals or those deals which, again, are very clearly all coalescing or sort of just getting clustered around the Prime Day or nearabouts. And then there is a bit of a lull. So effectively, if October 8th and 9th are Prime Deal Day this year, expect 20th to 30th of October to be slightly slow. And also there is an election effect as well, which is sort of going to be in play at that time as well. So I think the time 8th to around 20th or 21st is going to be key. And then there is a bit of a wait time. Not normally in the non-election years, the first few days of November saw a spike because that's when actually the Black Friday promotions for many of the businesses start pretty early as even the first week of November as well. And then there is obviously the Black Friday, the Cyber 5 and all the stuff. So this year, that pattern may look a little different, is what my first point is. And different because of one, obviously the demand fluctuations and some amount of correlation with the elections. But other than that as well, I mean, we are seeing this concept, which is interesting, but we don't know the implications of that yet. The concept of zero-click search engine results page or zero-click SERPs, where you're sort of typing in an informational query, let us say, show me the best deals effectively, XYZ, and so on. And AI overviews or the generative AI-led answers really populate. And you literally sort of, if you are asking for a particular question, I mean, and if the answer is, and you really get the answer with a fair amount of accuracy, do you really need to even click on and go to a site? But if you're not clicking on to go to a site, how do I really find out all the deals that you are offering? It's a very important concept. It's a really important concept because I really want all of you to keep that in mind. Primarily because that will have an impact that customers actually may not even come to your website hunting for deals if the AI overview essentially get in. So we had, Tiffany, I'm completely digressing on the search side. So we had commissioned a survey between 1st of August and September 15th of about 1,000 SEO keywords. And we saw that there actually was a dip in the click-through rates when it came to the informational keywords, because I could really get my queries answered through AI overviews. So this would be the holiday season, Tiffany, where you would see AI actually have an impact essentially on the sales. And sales primarily because even in traffic and then sales and so on and so forth as well. So something to keep in mind, because I know a lot of the businesses really depend a lot in terms of Google. I mean, as I mentioned, 50% are nearabouts. And I think it's important for you to really be mindful of this as well. The second part I wanted to also mention is we believe that the searches within the walled garden, when I say walled garden, I'm sort of saying platforms like, let us say, marketplaces like Amazon or Walmart, or the search which is happening within, let us say, TikTok and so on, will and may assume a higher importance or a greater importance this year. Right? So again, you're being able to carefully plan out your channel advertising strategy is going to be a very, very key factor this year as such, Tiffany, as well. You really need to not only have a plan A, but you really have to have a plan B when it comes to distributing. And the third thing is you have to be very careful to really plan an operating structure in such a way that allows you to act with a tremendous amount of agility as well. You have to be very nimble, because if something is not really going per your plan, then you really have to be able to make that quick tweak, or I wouldn't say pivot, maybe is a very stark word, but I think quickly sort of adjust, and so that you are able to maximize the sales. So this holiday season would really require a tremendous amount of focus, planning, and just being very agile and nimble as such to respond.
As I say, agility is key this year because we're in uncharted territories, really.
Exactly.
I mean, with AI.
No, AI plus the election year plus a shorter holiday season, right? I don't remember any holiday season in the 17 that we have covered where all of these three factors were in play at the same time.
And record high debt on credit cards.
And record high debt as well. So all of those macro factors, the sentiment is high though, which is I think the positive side. So I think all of these things will really have a very important part to play. So these three things I would request everyone to keep in mind. We also have some holiday resources, which we are sort of trying to, at NetElixir, we are very passionate, Tiffany, about the AI and use of AI and just going ahead and giving out tools. So one of the things that we have been testing since pretty much ChatGPT was launched end of November 2022 is how can we really build out those AI marketing tools, which simplifies the work that my SEO team is doing and which helps me get done do more with less. So we tested this out, and I'm extremely excited, Tiffany, to launch free AI marketing tools for for e-commerce marketers, right? Smart marketers. Like for those of you who are doing in-house SEO or in-house ad copywriting, this tool, I can assure you, can help save your team a tremendous amount of time. I mean, we currently are starting with about 3 tools. I mean, you can request your demo, you can really do and sign up yourself. It's a pretty easy one. But my request is this holiday season, please use AI as a friend and a companion who can really help you focus your energies on strategy and agility and so on. And we really want to position Elixir Smart as your friend. All these are complimentary or free tools. You can really scan the QR code and sign up directly and start your project and so on. So that would be our first holiday resource, which can really save your team a lot of time doing SEO and even Google ad writing and all that stuff as well.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, this has been really, really popular. I mean, we have really a collection of now almost about 25 tools built. We have built our own AI-powered marketing operating system, and we have now been testing these tools and using these tools for a little over a year and a half now, Tiffany. So it's like well-tested tools. Your data is secure. All of this is via GDPR, CCPA compliant and all that stuff. So, I mean, feel free to use this because you need to have AI as an ally to really help you do more with less, because this holiday season will require you to do so. The other tool, which I have shared earlier as well, you need to identify those hidden areas of revenue. And again, we are offering something called Elixir Insights, where you can really run those rapid experiments effectively on Google and Meta. And as I mentioned, we have been able to identify about 5 to 8% revenues, which we did not even know existed. I mean, just standard campaign management, and we are pretty good at it. I mean, we are in the Google agency leadership circle, etc. We normal account management will not help you to find that. So which our AI marketing platform was able to really help conduct those rapid experiments. We call it experimentation as a service, and identify those hidden revenue pockets. Like we were identifying these high value audiences, using them as signals in Google and finding lookalikes. So all of these things can really be powerful. So again, a combination of AI assisting humans to really have a successful holiday season and shore up your profitable revenues as well. And last but not the least, this has been, I think what I was talking about, Tiffany, has been our arguably the most popular part of our webinar. And we first launched it or started it, I think in 2013, if I'm not wrong, is our holiday e-commerce marketing calendar. So let me explain this really quick. So we try to really label each day in the holiday season. So this should answer some of the questions that I was asked as to when can we expect the holiday spike, etc. The green blocks or the green dates effectively are where the competition will not be as intense. But when I say low, it is not really that you'll not have any competition. It just gives you a greater opportunity for you to experiment and so on, and really sort of get those additional incremental sales dollars in. We believe that the overall year-on-year online sales growth during this time would be about 4 to 7% in the green boxes. Orange boxes would be medium competitive intensity. Online sales growth on specific, the day on day effectively is going to be about 7 to 15%. And the red days, I mean, no surprises there. The Black Friday, Cyber Monday, etc. You will see that overall competitiveness really sort of go up and spike significantly as such. And my request would be, and this calendar has been now being published, as I mentioned, 11th year. And what really has prompted us to do that is when we see as to how many people have downloaded the calendar over the past, let us say about 10 years that we have, this is our 11th year of doing this calendar, and really used it within the group, and the feedback that we have gotten from the people who have used it, how it helped them to really plan out their, not only the promotional plan, the advertising, but also the inventory planning, and the feedback, the positive feedback we received really sort of motivates us. So if you are interested, you can just directly go in and download this calendar. And we really hope that this really helps you to plan your better, unable to scan. We will send out the overall code, but it is netelixir.com/holiday readiness. I'm sorry, that should have only 2 S's. There is we will sort of follow up and send this out. You can also email me directly as well. But we will share this overall link, and I can probably sort of type in really quick here as well, NetElixir.com /
Yeah, we'll be doing follow-up with everyone too.
Yeah,
and make sure the resources are there in our follow-up emails.
So this should sort of get you there as well. But that's what I had, Tiffany. I know it's normally an interesting holiday season, but for the reasons that you mentioned, all of these three mega forces coming at the same time, it really will be one of the more interesting holiday seasons that we have ever experienced as such. First is, I think I'll reiterate just to sort of conclude, 8% holiday predictions. I mean, growth in overall sales. This would be the season for deal seekers very clearly. But how you really plan your promotions is going to be key. We expect an early start to the holiday season. Again, I should remove the word likely, I guess. Prime early access days have been sort of launched, or big deal days, essentially October 8th and 9th. AI-powered holidays are there. I mean, the influence of AI in digital marketing will be felt more than ever, whether it is AI overviews on Google, which may really have an impact or a negative impact in terms of the clicks or visitors coming to your website. But please do use our AI marketing tools to really sort of do more with less. We also believe shop bots will influence the purchases within the walled gardens as well. So that would be an important component. And last but not the least, our e-commerce holiday calendar can definitely help. And we really hope that you're able to use some of these takeaways, some of the recommendations to really have a very, very successful holiday season. Thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions, Tiffany. I know I may have...
You're right on time.
Yes,
you are a pro. I mean, always bringing the best. This is awesome information. We're definitely going to share it with everybody post-event. Definitely encourage everybody to download all of these resources. They are fantastic. Final questions and comments, please put into the chat and we will get to them in a few minutes here. A couple questions. Sure. What would you suggest, based on doing this now for so long, the strategy for January? So January, historically, redeeming a lot of gift cards, especially on marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart. You know, if you can't really hit your goal, let's say in November, December, with all these crazy variables, where's the opportunity in January?
See, I think there are two things that we have observed, Tiffany, typically happens in Jan, right? One is obviously the credit card, the gift card sort of redemptions. And then the second part, which is unfortunately a more concerning part, is the returns as well. The return rate really spikes. And we have seen, for example, this January, I think the return rate for certain categories exceeded 25%, right? That's like insane. So that completely can mess up your, whatever the demand and actuals and all this stuff and so on. So those are, I think, the two trends which very clearly lead to a fairly muted sales or online sales growth in the month of January as well. Some of the things that we have really seen work well, is this, because at that point in time, I mean, what deal will you offer? Because the holidays, normally everyone sort of comes up with a biz deal and so on and so forth. But there may be an opportunity for you to be creative enough with your retention marketing efforts, right? So you have really gotten the customers. Who are the new customers? Who are the existing customers? Typically, we have seen for the retail e-commerce categories, roughly you get a fair amount of new customers trying out if the promotions are attractive enough. The only struggle is they would be one and done. Right? These customers may not really come back again. Well, if again, I mean, again, this is a shameless sort of a plug for our technology, Elixir Insights. The technology's AI has the capability of predicting who's likely to buy again from your website with a 92% accuracy. And that list can be really, you can really email to that list. You can really run retargeting program to that list and so on. So treat your new customers well, I think is the first part. And second, see if there is an opportunity for you to really run and be very, very, very creative in terms of and purposeful with your retention marketing efforts as well in the month of January. The second part is a little difficult to sort of do in many cases because of the return rates become pretty high. We believe that in many cases, the only thing is, I think it may have an impact in terms of demand or sales. Sometimes I think offering relevant or additional information during holiday season actually can help qualify the customers better. It's a question of creating that, what we call typically the overall product market fit. We have seen that has a marginal impact in terms of just reducing your return rates as such. So just maybe there is an opportunity for you to qualify the right type of customers better. And again, I mean, our technology and AI-powered technology, Elixir Insights, can help you do that utilizing the machine learning and so on. So those are, I think, the two things. One is improved retention marketing and treat your new customers well that you acquired during holiday season. And the second part is focus on the right type of customers, and which we have seen has a positive impact in terms of reducing the return rates quite a bit in Jan. The struggle, I'll give you an example. For example, the categories like fashion apparel and beauty, we have seen the return rate spike higher than 35%. Again,
Wow.
Don't kill me. I mean, those of you in that part, but that's the reality, Tiffany, an unfortunate reality, right? And we have always sort of, how can we really collaborate with our clients to really help them come in? So those two strategies that I'm mentioning actually have been implemented by us. And that's the only reason I'm saying that we have been able to utilize AI to predict who's likely to be a high value customer and market to them separately. And we are also able to predict as to who's able to, who is likely to sort of buy again from your website and so on. So I think those two can be definitely very powerful.
Yeah, fantastic guidance. Udayan, thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. As always, I can't believe that this is the 5th year of doing this with the community and 17 overall. Definitely encourage follow-up conversation with the NetElixir team. They are fantastic people, partners. Definitely reach out to them. Awesome resource. So with that, it is a wrap. Thank you all for joining and hope to see you in another event soon. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Travels.
Happy holidays in advance to everyone. Thanks a lot, Tiffany. Thank you.
Best of luck. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.